Where you hear the sound of my voice, I had a great intro a few seconds ago and it completely got ruined. Yes, we're running a couple minutes late, but just like Ohio State in the Big Ten, we better show up late than ever. So for the next hour and a half, 2 hours, myself and the main man to my right of me, my tag team partner, if we were a wrestling tag team, he'd be the bigger of the two of us. And I'm saying he's the beef of the group. The student of the game, my three-point conversion compadre, my main man, number 85, Mr. Kyle Nash. How you doing, my friend?
Thank you, Danny Thompson. And hey, when it comes to being the bigger man in the offensive line front, I'm better protection than anything that's made of latex. Holla at your boy.
Or anything on the Philadelphia Eagles offensive line. All right.
Oh!
Yes, I am literally able to talk junk this week because guess what? Yes, my name might be Sir Per on the bottom, but the Falcons are 1-0 right now.
Stop it.
Listen, why not? I can enjoy this week. No, I will enjoy this week. But for those who've never watched the show, shame on you. Also, big shout out to our good friend in the corner, as you see Valor in the corner, VALR.US, which is ITS. If you ITS.valor.com, check them out for all things gifts, music, marketing, and everything that you need to get your promotion company, everything else to the next level. And also our good friends at Mentality Barbershop at 2611 Pine Hills Road in Orlando, Florida. Check out my main man, Corey Lamar. Listen, Corey's in a good mood this week. You got to think. Florida State won this week, so he's got to be in a good mood. All right?
I mean, and he did it against a significant team, too, not the Vikings.
Hey, listen, it all happens. So, Kyle, listen. Yeah. It's been a week where the first time I literally think since the month of August or July, we're not starting with basketball to lead the show on a consistent basis. So,
yeah.
All right, so normally we'd probably bring the World Series in the picture, but guess what? We're not going to. We're going to start with college football. And why are we starting college football? Because guess what? Yes, the North Carolina Tar Heels did fall to Florida State over the weekend, but really, it's like now we have 4 games into the season, and the Big Ten decides to show up too late to the party. So Ohio State's here. Ohio State, Michigan, the rest of the Big Ten decide to show up almost 2 months late for the party, and now they kick off their season on the weekend. Justin Fields will have every chance to show NFL scouts why he should be taken over Trevor Lawrence. We're going to get into the Big Ten in a couple minutes, but Kyle, let's start with a wild and wacky weekend. Oh, and by the way, if you're watching the show live, like, share the show, as well as leave comments on the actual video itself so Kyle and I can say hi and also crack jokes, because guess what? This week, if you're trying to pick on the Falcons, you can't because they won this week. So Carolina,
you can still pick on the Falcons. That's
well, listen. Legitimate. If you're anywhere involving a Panthers fan, don't you step on this show tonight. Don't you do it, Ricky Bobby. Listen, you can call me Sir Per if you want to, but in 2 weeks, in approximately 14 days, when the Falcons go into Carolina and take Carolina's lunch and become 3-5, we will be when we talk about last place anymore, we'll be talking about tied for third. All right. Listen, Kyle, college football was a wild weekend. Let's start with the game of the week. Let's start with the game of the week that everybody wants to talk about. Alabama and Georgia. Georgia, okay. I don't want to say this, Kyle, but I'm being a Falcons fan, but it seems like the city of Atlanta and their teams, whether it be professional or college, just can't seem to win big games. It happened again. Kyle, Georgia had Alabama beaten for almost 2.5 quarters until Alabama decides to wake up and drink whatever you were drinking and literally beat the brakes off Georgia in the second half of this game. Kyle, Georgia was that team the first couple weeks of the season. I thought they were a national championship contender. Are they still a national championship contender, or is just Alabama just that much better than everybody else?
Well, I think the answer could be a little bit of both, can't it? Right? We're in a tough situation with the COVID and all that the playoff, the chances of a team outside of a conference champion making it to the playoff is going to be a little bit lower than usual in my estimation. Like, there's a whole lot of wacky going on. I mean, seriously, we live in a world. If we go back to like the first week, Georgia Tech is ranked, and they got spanked in a very special fashion this week. And the very same team that they spanked that first week beat a team that was allegedly ranked number 5 in the polls going into this week. Now, some of us smarter souls prevailed, knowing that they were fraudulent, just like that entire conference not named not named Clemson, of course, but I'm not brave enough to say that I'm going to rule it out outright, but I think this year more than any other, it's going to be harder than others, right? I mean, I'll grant that the Big 12 has basically played themselves out of contention to a certain extent as well, with all their titans of their conference falling early. But I don't know, man. You're asking me to predict the motives of the committee, and I simply can't do that. But no, I don't think we're going to see them in the playoff, and unfortunately, it's going to be based off of this game. But by the same token, if Bama continues to do what Bama does, they could get cut enough slack if you end up with a situation where, let's say, the Pac-12 rep or the Big 12 rep is less than formidable. You know, because Clemson, listen, I know they play in the ACC, but you and I both know they're probably going to get their spot too. Listen, at the end of the day, they play in a trash conference, but they got literally more than 10 times as many points as their opponent. If you are supposed to whoop that butt, the least you do is use a paddle. And that's what they did with Georgia Tech, proving why they're going to get their spot in the playoff too. So I guess I'm already tacitly predicting Alabama and Clemson in the playoff. But hey, who isn't, right?
I mean, listen. Speaking of Clemson, you look at what Clemson did over the weekend. Listen, all right, they spotted Georgia Tech, was it 7 points? And of course, right on time. Yes, right on time, just like Trevor Lawrence and Clemson Tigers, they woke up to a 7-0 deficit, and they just happened to score not 1, not 2, not 3, but 73 consecutive points. Okay, we all know Clemson is Clemson. Kyle, 73-7. Like, that's not even fair. What more can you say? Here's the thing. It wasn't the fact of like Clemson is like destroying tomato cans. I know you are not a big proponent of the ACC and how good the ACC is, but Kyle, anytime, doesn't matter what it is, 73 consecutive points is 73 consecutive points.
This is exactly the point I just made, my brother. And I'm not, listen, I have always set Clemson aside and given them the respect that they could probably win another conference, okay? I'm not going to say the SEC, but I'm definitely going to tell you that they could win the Big 12. They could win the Pac-12, right? You know, I don't think anyone's arguing that. But I'll put it this way. Rodney, you're late to this party too. Heck, I've been talking about UNC being overrated since week 1, have I not, Danny Thompson? You know, when I tweeted at you the other day, you're over here thinking I'm talking trash on you. I'm like, no. I was like, I've been telling you people. Just like I picked UCF to lose to Memphis, which suddenly I'm a homer. I don't get that. But even though I picked UCF to lose to Memphis on this show, UNC, I said, was fraudulent on this show on a regular basis. I mean, I don't know what you want me to tell you. The one thing I was truly shocked about, we'll talk about in the NFL section, because I was texting Danny Thompson about it on Sunday night. But, yeah, I'll leave it at that.
We look at, so we're talking about North Carolina. North Carolina lost to Florida State, and they were down 24-7. They had a tremendous second half comeback, fell short. In a game where Florida State's now 2-3, it's a game normally where Florida State normally beats North Carolina in these games. So if you look at the historical significance, it wasn't much of a surprise. But for this year, it is a surprise. Yeah. Check out our good friend Alan Fields' column over at the 3pointconversion.com. He released his top 10 power rankings for college football. But he did make a good point, Kyle. In a year where it's been like it's so much uncertainty, the top 10 really isn't the top 10. It's really not it's not really the top 10, because here's the thing. Ohio State hasn't stepped on the field yet. Okay. It's hard to take Ohio State out of the top 10 where they haven't stepped on the field. You know, Michigan hasn't stepped on the field. Michigan State hasn't. Penn State hasn't. You know, those 4 teams you expect to be somewhere in the top 15 before this is over with. You look at the Pac-12, who hasn't kicked off their season yet, and let's be honest, USC's normally up there. Washington's normally up there. I might be missing a team or two, but
Washington and USC are usually up there to start with, and Oregon in years past, and then they fall out by the end of the year. Let's not forget that part if we're being honest, right?
But remember, they're tagging themselves in right before Halloween. Right. So it's not like they got their usual August, September swoons out the window yet.
No, it's a good point.
Okay. You know, and the Big 12, let's be honest, the Big 12 has been trash all season. Oklahoma and Texas were supposed to be up there, and Oklahoma and Texas are still giving up points as we speak, and they're not even on the field.
How is that different than normal? But the difference is they're losing to weaker teams. Like, Iowa State wasn't a threat to them in the past. Tulane wasn't threatening to beat Oklahoma State. That kind of thing.
And that's a tremendous point there. When you look at how the teams are ranked right now, and we've mentioned Kyle weeks before where when Iowa State lost, who did they lose to in that first week of the season? By the way, they ended up being ranked the next week. Louisiana Monroe. We talked about how Georgia State was ranked at one point. Now this week, no offense to the college of was it Coastal Carolina, but let's be honest, Coastal Carolina be the 25th best team in the country. That ain't normal. Okay.
No, it's not,
under no circumstances, no offense to the Chanticleers down there, but let's be honest, this ain't baseball season. Now, this is college baseball season, and listen, they're one of the best college baseball programs there is in the country. But let's be honest, they're not a team that you're expecting to be in the top 25 in football. Their signature win was going in and beating Kansas.
No, you're right. But
Kansas is trash.
Yeah, they are. Listen, just like the Big 12, we've been over that. But what you also got to do is leave room for smaller programs to be increasing their prowess as well. Like, listen, I'm not one of these people who have an issue with UCF not being ranked anymore after a second loss. Okay, that's because other Group of 5 teams are doing the job. Okay, what more do I have to say?
Well, we make the American Conference point because here's the thing: if you go by Allen Fields' rankings, Cincinnati's at number 4, and SMU is number 6, and they play next week.
Right.
Obviously, this is the elimination game because the loser, see you later, you're out the door. That means the winner of this game has to go undefeated. If the American Conference is going to be fighting for supremacy and to say, hey, we deserve a seat at the table, and UCF is no longer at the table now after their second loss of the season, Cincinnati has to defend the conference's honor because Memphis is not going to do it this year. Okay. SMU, to me, I think SMU might have a better chance because I think they have a better offense. But man, that Cincinnati team is really good, though.
Well, they're always nasty, especially up front, both sides.
So you look at SMU, they took care of Tulane last week, 37-34. The Chanticleers beat Louisiana Monroe, as we mentioned before, 21st ranked Louisiana Monroe, 30-27, as they somehow enter the top 25. BYU beat Houston, which is pretty consistent. Speaking of quarterbacks, BYU has a pretty good one, Kyle. Stop it.
Yeah, keep going. It's just Rodney trolling again. It's all right.
Any grown man with hearts in his photos should tell me something about himself. All right, but his wife made the photo, not him. All right. So listen, you look at what goes on. Yes. No Coastal Carolina is the second best team in Carolina. That'd be the third best team in the state of North Carolina. All right. But if you look at how the games played this weekend, Pitt beat Miami. Miami beat Pitt 31-7, 31-19. Auburn, they're done now because they lost to South Carolina.
Yeah, that's
C. Larry, Tennessee, you're no longer existent.
That did not shock me.
So, Kyle, you look at the top 3 teams in the country. Now, Georgia's gone. We talked about how Alabama's strong and Clemson's number 1. I don't even want to do this. Bobby, go ahead.
How dare you, Danny Thompson? 12-7 to Louisville, and you're going to do that? Get the hell off your show. I'm the host now. I'm doing the college football segment. That is probably the worst college football take I've ever heard you have. And not only that, I got to listen to that damn theme song. Listen, Bobby, save it for the Steelers and what they did to the Browns with Chase Claypool. It has no room in actual college football talk. Thank you. I said it.
Hey, Kyle. Well, Kyle, here's the thing. They had to move up in the rankings because Georgia lost and North Carolina lost. So Notre Dame is number 3 in the country right now.
Miami up.
Oh, Rodney, we have no evidence of that, Rodney. So listen, and yes, maybe I might have been might have been away for the weekend. That's all I'm saying. All right, so you look at.
I don't know what kind of shade's being thrown, but it better not have a damn thing to do with lemon pepper wings, okay?
There was no lemon pepper wings involved. I'll tell you that. But listen, speaking of things that were lemon pepper, North Carolina got lemon pepper by Florida State's defense in the first half, 24-7. It took Sam Howell to try to bring this thing back. And Carolina had a chance to win the game at the end of the game. Sam Howell didn't make the throws, and there was there's some bad penalties. But Kyle, here's the thing: we talked about this forever. You do not let the referees win the games.
No,
you do not put games in the hands of the referees, and you also don't go down on the road no matter where it is, even if it's in Florida, which is in Atlanta. COVID. And speaking of COVID, Florida had the week off because of COVID.
Yeah, make sure you fill that stadium, mother beep. Anyways,
yeah, and the head coach.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead, Kyle. By the way, go ahead.
I just thought it was interesting that UNC could make the trip to Florida State and Tallahassee, but didn't have a way to fit it into make it to Orlando. I think that's
Kyle. But I'll tell you this right now: the way you see us playing, Carolina being by 2 touchdowns right now.
I ain't sure about all that.
Kyle,
at least, maybe they can't stop anybody, but it was a track meet, sir. Don't you come at me without looking at the film. I'm just saying.
Kyle, here's the thing: it wasn't the fact it was a track meet, Kyle. Here's the thing. There's no way Dillon Gabriel sets all the school records in one game, and the defense lets him down like that. There's no way. It shouldn't have happened.
By the way, side note, they still had a shot to win the game on top of it, too. And I'm not saying it's the kicker's fault. It shouldn't have come to that. I agree with that. They had a PAT block that could have set up overtime without it. And they also had to miss 40-yarder at the end, which a 40-yarder in college is a long distance. I'm not putting it on the kicker, but they still had an opportunity to win it despite the defense falling short. Listen, man, I'm not trying to tell you you're wrong about that, but you're going to sit here and tell me that it wouldn't have been a track meet and UCF wouldn't have had a shot. You said 2 touchdowns. Put the pipe down, okay? I'm going to officially check the handbook for the 3-point conversion and see what the policy is for illicit drug use, okay?
Here's the thing. Here's the reason why I say it's 2 touchdowns, because Carolina can run the football. Well, of course, when you run the football, it also means you control the clock.
Memphis can run the football too. What about it?
No. But here's the thing. In a game like this, and I'll say this, Memphis is a talented team. But let's be honest, the athletes at North Carolina are a little bit higher in some cases than the athletes at Memphis. Also, Carolina has a top 15 offense in the country. All right. You put that against UCF's defense that once again gave up 50 points on Saturday to Memphis. All right. Carolina could easily put up 50 points on UCF's defense. The way UCF's defense was missing tackles, Kyle. No.
This is a bad take. Because that FSU team got beat by Georgia Tech, who was schooled by UCF, but everyone conveniently forgets that. Listen,
but Kyle, you must understand.
Don't make me a homer. I'm just looking at the facts here, okay?
But Kyle, you look at North Carolina that has 2 elite level wide receivers over there with a top 15 NFL quarterback throwing the football, and also one of the best running attacks in college football. Here is the thing: that offense would run circles through UCF's defense. Now, mind you, on the other hand.
Was that debated? I didn't debate that.
Okay. Now, on the other hand, UCF's offense, Dillon Gabriel, listen, I have given Dillon Gabriel a lot of crap on this show, all right, because he's not Mackenzie Milton, and he hasn't. But on Saturday, I will give Dillon Gabriel this. Besides breaking all the school records, this was the best game he has played since he was UCF. Now, mind you, he had a touchdown taken away, an easy touchdown taken away, because I can't remember the receiver dropped that wide open pass. I think it was the 3rd quarter. And Kyle, when Jacob Harris, he caught the touchdown later on in the series. But Kyle, I was at a family function over the weekend, and we all watched it, and we all said in unison that normally in that situation, you don't make it back on the bus after dropping a wide open touchdown like that, because Gabriel, I think, had just thrown like an 80-yard touchdown the series before. Gabriel was pinpointing passes like he should be playing on Sundays next year. That's how he was pinpointing passes. And yes, Memphis defense isn't perfect, but some of those throws you were making were full-fledged NFL starting quarterback throws. He hit some in some tight windows and tight spaces. Okay. That was some of the most impressive quarterbacking I have seen. Now I've watched a lot of UCF games over the last few years.
You have.
But Kyle, that might have been some of the most impressive quarterbacking I have seen since even before the Scott Frost days with Mackenzie Milton. That was some damn good quarterbacking by young Dillon Gabriel on Saturday. It's just the fact that UCF's defense, it's the cross between the penalties, and I don't know, Kyle, maybe it's something with Josh Heupel's team. This team doesn't seem focused compared to other UCF teams over the years. The last couple of UCF teams, Kyle, you know this. A focus thing has been Scott Frost preach. Kyle, it doesn't seem like UCF seems to be focused in some areas. If it's offense one week, it's defense this week. Just say
the defense always had unfocused penalties. Yes, even under Scott Frost. That ain't new. Okay, for all those people, I miss Scott Frost. BS. It happened under his tenure too. It's convenient to do because obviously in 2 consecutive weeks, the offense had huge problems with false starts. That's a thing that happened, okay? But to act like the discipline was all in play with Frost is just incorrect. They got away with it. They were able to bounce back with it. Now, I'm not here to tell you that Heupel should be a coach of the year like Scott Frost. Why? Okay. But let's roll it back. You got to also remember the very same guy you're complaining about that couldn't fix things on offense and all that did manage in the previous 2 weeks get a team going from 10 false start penalties to 0 in a track meet. That's significant, and everyone's forgetting it. All right. Now, you want to talk about the defensive holding thing? Listen, this is an opportunistic defense. This ain't something that's new. The old group did it before Randy Shandy came in, too. I don't know why they didn't. Well, actually, I shouldn't say. I don't know why they didn't call it as much. They did get called for it. Plenty. There are plenty of times where third downs were stopped and the defensive hold or some sort of a late hit ruined it. That's a thing that happened.
Kyle, here's my question. Is it me or UCF doesn't have the athletes they normally would have on defense? Because last couple of years, UCF has had some full-fledged athletes on defense. The offense has always had athletes. The offense always has speed. The running game has always been good. Yeah, the offense has never been a divulge of talent, especially speed, because UCF, if you've watched enough UCF games and you know UCF very well, UCF motto is UCF fast. They've always been a speed-rated team. One thing about the state of Florida when it comes to high school football players is that there is speed everywhere, no matter what star you are. You could be a five-star athlete or a 1-star. You're going to be able to run. State of Florida's 1- and 2-star prospects are most states 2- and 3- and 4-star prospects. Okay, it's a different type of prospect in Florida, and UCF not only just capitalizes on 3 and 4 stars, they get some of the best 3 and 4 stars in the country. And that's why UCF is consistently good, and they've been consistently good the last 5 to 6 years.
Right.
It just seemed like this year the talent divulge. Maybe it's because they lost too many guys on defense. I'm asking this, Kyle, is that are they losing too many guys and they have not replaced them with quality players as good as quality as they had before? Or is this something not clicking? Because, yeah, UCF's defense has not been perfect over the last 5 years, but Kyle, it's never been this bad. And I'm saying this bad because, listen.
Because they gave up over 700 yards of offense, dude. You don't have to explain it. That's the fact of the case. And the team as on the whole was good for for 96 yards and penalties with 10. No, you can't, Rodney. Stop it. With 10 penalties on the night. And granted, none of them full starts, I would add. What I think you're missing is you do have, Tay Gowan missing due to opt-out is the biggest difference on defense. It's a correct call out by you in the secondary. The linebackers aren't doing as much as I would like to see them do. Eric Mitchell, Randy Charlton, those guys who are good as youth, supporting the Titus Davises and the Shaquem Griffins and that type, Jemias Pittman and all those guys. Now that they're the seniors, I don't know that they have as much support in the linebacking core themselves. Now, listen, the defensive line, I'm leaving them alone. What they did last year when a lot of them were starting for the first time after losing 4 guys, 3 of them seniors, one of them a junior that got drafted by the Dallas Cowboys and Tristan Hill. Okay. They ended up leading in TFLs. They recovered that well, but they had Tay Gowan and they had DBs coming in to fill the gap. It's not the case here. I think you're right about the athleticism on defense. It's not that they're bad. They're just not there yet. And, they need that year of growth. And to me, I'll talk about it more as the season goes on, and I'll certainly write a piece at some point on the 3pointconversion.com about this. But 2020, even without COVID, wasn't going to be UCF's best year anyway because of the schedule, right? If everything went according to plan and they were undefeated, people would be dissing the schedule and knocking it out the window. In 2021, the schedule is a different story. And like I said, when we get closer to that season, I'll have plenty to say about it.
Well, like I say, it's just from watching it from the blind eye test, the eye test, it just seemed like even on Saturday, it just seemed like the Memphis receivers were able to get past UCF speed, and that's one thing Memphis hasn't had with the exception of Antonio Gibson. Now Gibson on the wing last 2 years for Memphis was literally just like a guy UCF couldn't catch no matter what player they have in the field. The only player that I can remember being as fast as Antonio Gibson was Mike Hughes. And Mike Hughes is arguably one of the 5 fastest players I've ever seen in college football between him and AK.
That's why he got a starting spot on the Vikings secondary out of school.
And that's why he was a first-round pick. But outside of Antonio Gibson, I never knew Memphis. I'm South Carolina fast. Rodney knows. Now, Rodney, mind you, a 4.9 and a 20-yard dash does not count. All right, so what I'm saying is, one of the things they say UCF that made them special, because if you go back to even to the Auburn Bowl game a couple years ago when they won in the Georgia Dome, was the fact of UCF. Even the Auburn players tell you they didn't realize how fast UCF was on defense.
Right,
those guys were flying around the football.
Mm-hmm.
That's just the one thing I don't see UCF right now. They're not flying around the football, and that's the thing that. It's not the same way. And you said, like I said, the senior leadership, and I'll be honest with you, the seniors the last couple of years on defense were loud, they were in your face, and they got the production done. I just don't see it from this class.
So for 2 years ago, you saw Titus Davis, and the next year you got Nate Evans. You don't really have a similar guy this year. I'll definitely give you that credit. That's correct. And, the closest thing you got is Richie Grant, which Richie Grant is awesome. But, again, on the whole, as a team, I think they're lacking that. And something Memphis did specifically is put them in a spread. You got young guys who aren't as fast trying to cover a spread offense. That's a rough gig. You're 100% correct, Andy Thompson.
So let's now go into week 8. Because like I said, we're down to 1 day a week. And like I said, me and Kyle will jump on. I think I'll jump on this week. I have a little more free time this week. So listen. Let's jump into the big week, because guess what? The Big Ten has now joined the party. I know the saying from the Real Housewives of Atlanta was "Don't be tardy for the party." Well, guess what? The Big Ten is tardy, and guess what? They're here. They're here to party. Ohio State and Nebraska will be the kickoff game that everybody's looking for. We mentioned Scott Frost earlier. Nebraska, they wanted to play a long time ago. Ohio State and Justin Fields. Okay, Kyle, is Ohio State ready for this? Because they're behind. Do they even being this far behind, and the way college football is Ohio State susceptible to losing in week 1 to Nebraska, or are they ready to make the statement and then literally leapfrog everybody with the exception of Clemson to number 2 by the end of the week?
No, Nebraska's a tune-up game at this point. And frankly, if they lose it, it's as big as upset as Appalachian State being Michigan at this point. And I don't care if Nebraska is Power 5 or not. And I mean no knock on Scott Frost. Listen, this is a human being who I covered for my first year being on the beat. Being on the beat writing for UCF, okay? He's an intelligent human being. I want to see him succeed. He's a guy you can't help but like, all that stuff. But he was handed a horrible situation in Lincoln. That's just a fact, okay? And no one can overcome a bad situation from that position. They just can't. But for the Big Ten, there's some people who are in the top 25 that are a ways to space. Like for one, Minnesota, stop it.
No, don't. We're not doing this. We're not doing this to Goldie Gopher. We're not doing the Goldie Gopher.
The only gold that I have is what I want to shower on that ranking and them being in the top 25. I said it.
No, because you're not going to rate on the Golden Gophers, Bray. I actually like the Golden Gophers. I like the Golden Gophers. I think they're going to beat Michigan on Saturday at home.
You know what? If they do, I'll make you this deal, Danny. Danny, if they do, I'll take them more seriously. Then they would have finally shown me something.
Listen, here's the reason why I think the Golden Gophers are goldenly dangerous. Like that, don't you?
No, I
don't mean it's serious. Listen, they have a wide receiver on their roster right now. And Rashad Bateman is literally a game breaker. Kyle, we mentioned the word game breaker. Rashad Bateman is that guy, game breaker. He opted out when this whole thing started. Mm-hmm. Okay. Him opting out basically said Minnesota was headed straight to the toilet. Okay. I say toilet bowl at this point. He was headed that way. Rashad Bateman opted back then. Yes, goldenly dangerous. Yes, I did say it. And I'll say it again.
Golden grams with jalapenos, like goldenly dangerous. Anyways, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yes, and they're magic. It isn't. And Rashad Bateman will go through defenses like this is magically delicious points in the game. Rashad Bateman caught 60 passes for 1,219 yards last year, averaged over 20 yards a catch, and had 11 touchdowns. So for every 5 catches, he was in the end zone. Every 6 catches, he was in the end zone. To me, he is a top 3 wide receiver in the country. Okay. game-breaking, big play guy. You get him back. He is now playing for the NFL. And if you go back and look at his best game last season was against Wisconsin. Actually, you go back to the Penn State game where he caught over 200 yards, the Wisconsin game where he had over 150. He is now looking, and guess what? Minnesota is ready to rock and roll. I think Minnesota is a sleeper team. Anytime you get game breakers in this situation, and it's not a quarterback, it's a skill position guy. Game breakers in the Big Ten make plays. Minnesota, if they play their cards right, they could be playing in the Big 12, the Big Ten championship game. That's all I'm saying. Don't sleep on Don't sleep on the Golden Gophers.
Oh no! If your target for them is to be a sacrificial lamb in the conference championship, of course I'll consider it a possibility. But they're not a team I'm taking seriously, especially with Wisconsin parting with the talent that they did last year. And I'm not talking just Jonathan Taylor, right? You know, I'm in that place where I keep hearing about Minnesota, and they still haven't showed me anything that I find truly impressive. Their big win last year was Penn State, and you know they were ranked number 4 before everything was said and done. But every other significant game was a loss. I'm just throwing that out there. I'm not impressed by teams that can go to work on South Dakota State and only win by a touchdown, and only beat Georgia Southern by 3 points, and only beat Purdue by a touchdown. Do you see where I'm going here, Danny Thompson?
Hey, wasn't South Dakota State a team that's in the Division the FCS playoffs last year?
Relevance?
Listen, that means you're a good football team if you make the playoffs.
Is that what it means? Then why is it every other group of 5 team gets written off, but in here when you're defending the Golden Gophers, they all that in a bag of chips? Moving on.
Listen, I'm just saying, don't sleep on the Golden Gophers.
Too late. I'm already napping. If they beat me on Michigan, yeah, I'm sleeping on them. And here's the deal I'll make you. Like I said, they beat Michigan, I'll wake the bleep up. Deal? Cool.
All right, listen. When Rashad Bateman goes to the defense, you know what? If they get to be undefeated when they get towards that schedule, a part of the schedule is Penn State, and they win
7 games.
Hey, listen, you know how the Big Ten is. The Big Ten schedule is weird, wacky, and who cares? But listen, like I said, there might be a Golden Gopher bet where you might have to change your name to Goldie after a while. I'm just saying.
No,
all right.
Hey, listen, like I said, if they show me something, I'm real enough to give them the credit to do it.
All right, Wisconsin takes on Illinois, number 14 at Wisconsin. You mentioned a lot of the guys Wisconsin lost. Listen, Lovie Smith's team actually made a bowl last year.
I know, and it's a big deal for the program, but that don't mean they're ready for big time yet. Again, if they do, I will watch. Although I'm still very curious about Lovie Smith's beard. I don't know if I like it or not. It's just different, but I digress.
I mean, listen, it can't be much more different than watching Cincinnati and SMU being one of the marquee games of the week, Kyle. It's not as weird.
You aren't wrong.
So, Kyle, in the battle of what's left of the Atlantic, what's left for the honor of the Atlantic, the American Conference, who do you have in this one?
I mean, you know, this is not an easy one to decide. You said it's simpler because it's going to be the great offense against those who can punch you in the mouth. And for me, I'm biased. I'm always going to go to the trenches first, and Cincinnati has been nasty in the trenches for at least the past 3 or 4 seasons that I've been covering the American. So take that for what you will. I have Cincy.
I'm going to say this. If you're watching the game at home on Saturday, there's a name you need to watch. I want to say Shane Buechele from SMU. Mm-hmm. Not only the fact he's a Texas quarterback, his dad played Major League Baseball for the Texas Rangers. Mm-hmm. He has a cannon for an arm. The problem is he's a little bit erratic at times. And when he's a little bit erratic, it don't look pretty. But when he's on,
look out.
Boy, oh boy, it's a show to watch. All right, college football is like done now. And speaking of things that are done, the World Series is now starting. No, we're not going there, okay? It's time to talk World Series.
Yes.
All right. It's the Fall Classic. It's the only sport right now that's actually championship is supposed to be going on anyway. Basketball, hockey, they're not supposed to be playing championships right now. We're actually supposed to be talking about the start of their seasons right now. Now it's time for the World Series. All right, listen. The Atlanta Braves, we talked about how the city of Atlanta somehow does what the Atlanta does. Atlanta blew a 3-1 lead, and they lost to the LA Dodgers. Yeah, exactly. They lost to the Dodgers last night, and the Tampa Bay Devil Rays will now defend the honor of the city of Tampa. Now, Kyle, who would have more pressure in this situation? All right. The LA Dodgers trying to win after the Los Angeles Lakers win the championship, or The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, if somehow the Devil Rays win the World Series, knowing the Lightning won the Stanley Cup, and the Buccaneers have a chance to be the first team, the first city to win all their major professional sports championships in a row, who's got more pressure on them now?
Oh no, it's the Dodgers 100%. Listen, with the city of Tampa, they're already playing with house money, right? They're happy they got Brady, and they're going to feel good about making the playoffs for the first time in a long time. That's cool, especially with Brady's first year here. They're going to be now. The pressure will be on for year 2, but that doesn't do a damn thing to help the Dodgers with the pressure you speak of there. I mean, and it's LA. It's bigger and louder and has more attention. You know.
This is arguably, as far as win percentage goes, the highest rate win percentage among 2 teams in the World Series, and I can't even tell you how long it's been.
Wow.
Now, this series, we always talk about redemption, Kyle, and it was always a redemption story everywhere. This is the Clayton Kershaw redemption series. Clayton Kershaw has arguably been one of the best pitchers in Major League Baseball in the regular season, literally for almost, I can't even tell you how long. Dominating pitcher. At one point, our good friend Ted Hicks over at Barbershop Sports and over at Late Night Parents had said he might be the next Sandy Koufax because he was so dominating at one point of his career.
I did see that on Twitter, actually, yes.
The one thing about Clayton Kershaw is that Clayton Kershaw goes left in the playoffs. Now, like a few years ago with David Price, when he went to Boston, David Price had a reputation where he couldn't win the playoffs. The year Boston won the World Series, David Price was arguably dominant, especially in the World Series. Kyle, this is Clayton Kershaw's chance. He has blown and not won big games. He hasn't been that guy. You look at elite pitchers in history of baseball, he has the ability to do this. Kyle, the Tampa Bay Devil Rays are a team that literally has won, and you can't even name half the guys on this roster.
That's correct.
The Dodgers are star-studded. Mookie Betts, Clayton Kershaw, Bellinger. They have weapons everywhere. Justin Turner. Kyle, if you're Clayton Kershaw, how big is that monkey on your back, knowing that, number one, you haven't won a World Series. Number two, you have watched the Giants win it over and over again. And number three, this is the 3rd World Series in 4 years the Dodgers have been sitting in there with a chance to win. How big is that monkey for Kershaw on his back right now?
I mean, like, that's bigger than Steve Young stuff right there, right? Like, that's bigger than Peyton Manning stuff right there, right? Before they got theirs, I mean.
It's crazy because you watched the Dodgers last night, and I got Urias to get he had to pitch, I think, the last 3 innings to get the victory / basically hold. The Atlanta Braves, listen, they got to the World Series. They're one of the youngest teams in baseball, and their ace was out. They have arguably one of the best players in the game, Ronald Acuna Jr., and give the Braves a lot of props because, hey, listen, it's the Braves. But let's be honest here. It's a 60-game season. If we go back to full-fledged baseball next year, hello, Mets. Hello, new owner, and the deepest pockets in baseball.
Bobby, mute his mic.
Hey, listen, I can say this now because guess what? The New York Yankees are playing right now.
Oh, God.
Listen.
That's Sir Purr in his battle armor, baby. Woo!
You're ready. I am ready to unload on Sir Purr right now. All right. So before we head to the NFL section, one other thing this week. Saturday night, Kyle, we're getting to the part of the year, like I said, when baseball ends in a couple less than a week, because the World Series is basically microwaved like a pizza roll to get this thing over and done with. Kyle is really going to be leaving us just with college football, the NFL. We have college basketball starting at Thanksgiving. The NBA draft is only technically the 18th, but after that, we don't know when the NBA season is starting, and the NHL is saying sometime of next year. So we have to really look for things that go on in sports. Well, Saturday was one of the bigger events that's happened in a while. Why? Boxing was on a major scale Saturday night, with Vasily Lomachenko and Timofey Lopez going at it in a boxing match, Kyle, that normally doesn't really happen. And why I say it doesn't really happen is because it's very rare when you have the pound for pound, quote unquote, by ESPN, best boxer in the world in the game, go against a guy that's arguably just as good as he is. Normally, those fights don't happen. And number two, it normally doesn't happen on ESPN Plus at all. That's all I'm saying. I covered the fight Saturday night. Timofey Lopez won the fight. It was a controversial fight. And I say it's controversial because of the scoring.
Yeah, I was about to say you're there, and some people were saying that I saw. And granted, I didn't cover the fight. I wasn't there as close as you, but a lot of people had nearly a draw on their own personal cards, and I think one had it 119, 112, and we're like, the F. So yes, break it down a little bit, Pana.
The daughter of Harold Letterman, I think her first name is Julie Letterman, whose dad was Harold Letterman, one of the greatest, one of the most known boxing judges. And if you watch enough HBO boxing, you know who Harold Letterman is, because he's the guy whose scorecard pops up.
Exactly, very talented. But
give me Harold Letterman's scorecard on the screen. All right. So Julie Letterman had the score 119, 109 in favor of Timofeo Lopez. Mm-hmm. Now, yes, Kyle, your point, I had the fight scored 117, 115 for Lopez. And the way I had yes, it was very, and really, to be honest with you, Kyle, it could have been I had 7-5. If you had an 8-4 Lopez, I'll give it to you. And here's the reason why. To me, Lopez won the opening round. He also won rounds 3 through 6. I had it where Lomachenko won rounds 8, 7 through 11, and Lopez closed out the show in the final round and won the fight in the final round. The rounds that were considered to me that could have went either way was the 2nd and the 7th, because Lomachenko won 8 through 11 easily. I don't care what the Lopez family says, father and son, there's no way Lomachenko was hitting Lopez with everything he had. Okay, he was hitting him with shots, combinations, and everything else. For someone to watch the fight and said it was 11-1, I don't know what they were watching. They might have been playing Xbox, and I respect Julie Letterman because she's been doing this for years. But it was a horrible decision and a horrible way to end that fight. I'll tell you that, and that's what I have to say about that. But we have some good boxing cards coming up. All right, we do have we have the Gervonta Davis fight on next Saturday, which is on Halloween night. Mm-hmm. We also have the Devin Haney's fight, which will be the weekend after that. And for those in boxing who are looking for the Wilder and Tyson Fury third fight, it ain't happening. Mm-hmm. They can't seem to agree on a third fight, and Fury might end up taking a fight at the end of this year because he wanted to fight this year. And Anthony Joshua was somewhere laughing and smiling because he ain't fighting, but he's fighting. I don't know, a team Rodney. He's playing the boxing version of the Citadel in his next fight.
Somebody else fighting Rodney. Is that? Are we breaking that on this show that he's fighting?
No, we're not breaking that because it was Rodney's 40. We broke Rodney's 40 time earlier. I think it's good enough. Speaking of things that are good enough, let's get to the big segment of the show and what everybody's waiting for. Not Mount Rushmore, but it's time for the NFL section of the show. And Kyle, listen. Sure. For the second consecutive week in a row, the NFL is continuing past Monday. Not a regular Monday because we had a doubleheader of sorts. The Kansas City Chiefs and the Buffalo Bills had to have their game rescheduled, so they moved it to Monday night. Mm-hmm. The original Thursday game got moved to Monday. Thanks, COVID. All right. In a matchup between two MVP candidates, Patrick Mahomes. Yes, Patrick Mahomes II. You can't call him Pat Mahomes. Otherwise, his mother's not fighting me on this show. And Josh Allen went at it. And Kyle, listen, the Kansas City Chiefs are now 5-1. They bounced back after losing to the Raiders, and now the Bills have lost 2 games in a row. Kyle, they've lost but now mind you, 2 losses were to the Tennessee Titans and the Kansas City Chiefs. Kyle, with Kansas City going into Buffalo, how big was this win for the Chiefs?
Oh, huge. I mean, for the Chiefs to be truly successful, even though there is no such thing, air quotes, as a home field advantage in terms of the crowds, I think weather is a factor, okay? And nobody, and I mean nobody, wants to be going to Buffalo that month of the season. Hell, I can make a case for Baltimore being a little too cold, but that's another conversation. The punchline is any team that can position themselves ahead of Buffalo toward the end of the season to get that top seat so the Buffalo would not be hosting them is huge. Because listen, I know they lost the past 2 weeks, but is anybody really thinking that Buffalo isn't going to win that division? Now, I know we have some of our own associates and compatriots on the 3-point conversion that have already signed off the division to Belichick because he's Belichick. And I can't blame them per se, but when COVID hit again and took more people out of play beyond the 10 or so that opted out before the season started, a lot of them on defense, I can't help you there. Listen, Josh Daniels is playing amazing. And listen, maybe the other team is starting to figure out that Stephon Diggs is the key to slowing them down. I can't really sign off on that yet. But what I will tell you is losing to the Chiefs and the Titans doesn't make you a bad team. That's kind of insane. That's kind of like everybody writing off Buffalo because Kansas City went to work on them. It's bleeping Kansas City. Folks, come on. Danny?
Speaking of things that are bad, the Dallas Cowboys are down 21-3 halftime to the Arizona Cardinals.
I told you that the Cardinals would be dominating early, and then Bobby told me they weren't. I got nothing. I don't know what to say about that.
Listen, it's the Dallas Cowboys. At this point, the Cowboys need to play. Bobby, one of these weeks we got to find some Benny Hill music because it seems like the Cowboys are playing like on Benny Hill right now.
21-3. If I known you would have done that, I had a kazoo in here going. I'm a musician, Bobby. I can do that ish.
Oh yeah, back to the Kansas City game, Kyle. Yes. Kansas City signed Le'Veon Bell, who was inactive tonight.
Yes.
Trying to figure out for Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Mm-hmm. Helaire, 26 carries, 161 yards tonight.
I'm not saying it's wrong for them to have gotten Le'Veon Bell.
It's just not fair.
I'm not even going to go there. I think it's too risky at this point. Hear me out. Like, listen, there was a day when covering the Steelers, and this is back when I was doing the Student of the Game podcast, I had a thing. We would do it like it was a fragrance, right? Like, when you want to run the football, Le'Veon. I still got the voice. You hear me, Danny Thompson? You could hear that on a Calvin Klein commercial, could you not? Right?
I could.
Anyway, there you go. But for Kansas City to bring in that in when they don't need it, and I get the it's not fair angle, I really do, but I think at this point they're only risking bringing somebody who has, whether you agree with him or not, and I'm not saying he has a bad point, but content is an issue with him. Why bring the risk of drama into that house? I don't know. I didn't love the signing personally.
I just thought that of all the teams that he would win, it just seemed like he was ring chasing at this point.
Is that well? Hey, listen, now let me switch it around. From Le'Veon's point of view, is awesome, right? Can you help me with some? You're an NBA guy. I feel like they're the ones that invented this term, ring chasing. The hell is wrong with doing that? I thought the purpose of the sport was to get a ring, right?
Yeah, but you don't go join the enemy. It's like, I'm not saying Le'Veon Bell's Kevin Durant, but you don't go damn join the enemy. All right.
Okay, I appreciate that. As guys that woke up, grew up watching MJ play and watching teams hate each other, that ain't the world no more, partner. Ain't what goes down. James Harrison becomes a Patriot.
You know what? Touche on that. Speaking of things that are touche, all right, listen, we talked about the Tennessee Titans earlier, and Kyle, they held on. They won the game in overtime. And Kyle, here's the thing. For a quarter and a half, at the beginning of the game, the Tennessee Titans were literally steamrolling the Houston Texans. Mm-hmm. The Titans went to sleep behind the wheel and got behind. Mm-hmm. And Kyle, I hate to say this. Now, mind you, hopefully Aflac sponsors me for this, but we're going to do a new segment on the show. And I'm gonna call this segment the Aflac Asshole Award because I have the ability to say this because we're on kind of television.
TV. That's right.
Yeah, internet TV and Facebook Live. So this week's first one, the first annual for week for the Aflac Asshole Award. Yes, Bobby.
You know the shows we have on Blackjack TV, right?
No, yes, but what? Huh?
Go for it. They let it loose.
All right, that's fine. All right, so
programming note: this will also be on Blackjack TV. Thank you, Bobby.
Thanks, Bobby. So, in the new tradition of the Aflac Asshole Award, which would be what y'all fussing about.
What aren't we fussing about, Precious? You know what I'm not fussing about? How beautiful that picture of you and your man was on Facebook. That's what I'm not bitching about. Boom, there you go. Danny Thompson.
What can I say? All right, so and besides, she made the picture look better. But for this week,
debate there, that's not the topic. Moving on.
No. So this week's Aflac Asshole Award goes to Romeo Crennel of the Houston Texans.
Man, you're so harsh.
Listen, here's why he gets the award, Kyle. The 2-point conversion has been around literally since before the 3-point conversion.
You're wrong.
Big shout out.
We'll get to it.
No team and no coach has ever gone for 2 with a 7-point lead with under 2 minutes left in the game in the history of the NFL since we started the 2-point conversion.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Mm-hmm. If you go back to the win index, if they kick the extra point, Kyle,
mm-hmm.
the Texans had a 98.4% chance of winning.
Mm-hmm.
If they got the 2-point conversion, it was down to 98.1%. I don't make this up.
I know you don't.
Kyle,
mm-hmm.
They score, they go up 36 to 29.
Mm-hmm.
All you had to do, Kyle, was kick the dadgum extra point.
Mm-hmm.
That's all you had to do.
You really think that's all you had to do? You really think that's all you had to do?
Yeah. Kyle, you kick the extra point, you're up by your points.
Uh-huh.
Okay?
You're arguing like a very talented, intelligent statistician and didn't pay a damn lick of attention to what happened in that football game, Danny Thompson. Let me help you.
Kyle.
Go ahead, please. If you want to add more analytics on me, I'm going to bring you watching film.
Okay, Kyle, I'll watch it. Kyle, it's to quote John Cena, this is basic thugonomics, okay? This is basic thugonomics. You kick the damn extra point and go up 8 points, and you rely on your defense. Mm-hmm. Even if you give up a touchdown, they still got to get a 2-point conversion.
Uh-huh.
You're telling me you don't trust your kicker enough to hit an extra point?
Do you think that's what I was going to bring up? Danny Thompson.
No, Kyle, I'm just asking, Kyle. I'm not insulting your intelligence, Kyle. I'm insulting the decision-maker of Romeo Crennel in the situation.
Well, right? you listen, I don't know what it is with you and the Texans, but you and their coaching staff have been at odds since the kickoff of this bleeding season. And for some of it, you are justified. But here's what I'm going to tell you. You know what a thug does? You know what thugonomics are? A thug beats people up. Okay? And that
John Cena. Okay.
Hey. All right?
Yes, Romeo Crennel could not see the fact that the game was over. But continue.
And I want to talk about how your hairstyle is similar to his too. But that's a whole other question. See, Bobby knocked me for that one too. It's all good.
Don't worry, Kyle. Yours is coming soon. Don't worry. Continue.
Danny wants to throw something at me, and you know what? I don't blame you. That was awful. But what I will say is this:
awesome at the same time, by the way.
But you want to know who actually got beat up all night? The damn Texan defense you're mentioning. If I'm Romeo Crennel, I already saw in my mind, as a decent coach, as an experienced NFL man, and as a guy on defense who's done a lot of great things in his career as a coordinator on defense, okay, I see what's about to happen because it's been happening all game. Henry is crushing my defense. I can't let him on the field because what's going to happen is he's going to take that group back. They're going to score again, and chances are he'll cram it right up the middle with their play action him using T. Hill to get the damn 2-point conversion. I seen it. It's going to happen. However, if I get the 2-point conversion, which Deshaun's been doing, going to work, because the one thing the Texans have proven that Deshaun can do well against is a weak pass rush. You got to at least let the dude use his legs a little bit to escape for him to be a threat, because he can throw the football. We saw that. What he scored in points with the receiver core that you have been rightfully critical of since week 1 is an amazing thing. And the Titans DBs ain't bad, but they pass rush. Even our good friend Mike Patton, who covers the team, even our favorite Titans fanboy Cortland, even my dude Teron Davenport, who covers the team for ESPN, all unanimously agree that the Titans pass rush is not there. You took the lesser evil because then Henry may be beating you up and down the field all night, but he at least has to get 2 touchdowns now if you get this. At least there has to be 2 scores. Okay.
No, we're not saying Deshaun Watson. He signed that contract himself. Continue, Kyle.
Oh no, yeah. I didn't know what he was talking about immediately because I was preaching. Thank you for handling that. You said it right, my friend.
Preach on.
Any other situation, you're absolutely correct. And I think that's what you're missing here with what I'm coming back with. 98% of the time, Danny Thompson, I agree with you. But Henry changed the physics on that field. And the weakness of that Titans team changed the physics on the field. Watson was in a position where he was freed and was able to make connections all game and damn near made it. Okay? And at the end of the day, what exactly happened? What Romeo Crennel was afraid of. I get you knocking the decision. And maybe if the Texans had beaten them the Titans had beaten them any other way, I might have been closer to cutting you some slack. But what exactly Cornell was afraid of happening, being the difference, you can talk smack as your show, you do your thing. But it is impossible for me to say he did a bad coaching job when he saw it coming from moment one, and that's why he went for 2.
Listen, I agree with a lot of stuff you said at that last point. But the problem is, you would have had to beat me with a touchdown and a 2-point conversion to send this game to overtime.
You're not wrong.
I take my chances that way. I'm just sorry. It's just the fact of now Ryan Tannehill. I'm going to give Ryan Tannehill credit. Kyle, you've given Ryan Tannehill a lot of credit. And I'm going to give it for him this. Yesterday, that last series, now mind you, Derrick Henry did catch that screen pass, and he literally was running through people at the quote Al Bundy like grandma threw a herd of cattle. He was running through people. But Ryan Tannehill's management of that 2 points. Wow.
That was that was an awful lot of work and inside jokes just to talk smack on you. That's devotion, Rodney. Listen, that's why your official show troll. Well done. I don't
listen. Derrick Henry ran through back to what I was saying before I was really interrupted.
Yeah,
98% of the time. Stop it. Derrick Henry caught a screen pass and went right down the field, but you got to give Ryan Tannehill a lot of credit.
Sure.
That 2-minute execution of that drive, and for them not to clock that ball, and for him to be so confident in that back shoulder throw to AJ Brown, that took a lot of guts. That was a great ball he threw to AJ Brown to tie the game to overtime. And then guess what? Derrick Henry is Derrick Henry. He ran the ball down the field as usual. And listen. Derrick Henry is the one guy you don't want to run. You're not trying to stop at the 1 yard line. Have fun with that. Kyle, is it crazy to know a grown man that's like 245 pounds can outrun everybody and also stiff arm you at the same time?
I'm glad you saw that. Like you saw him on that long run, extending distance. Now a corner closed on him a little bit, but he was widening the gap on a linebacker. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, it scares the bejesus out of me.
Kyle, I think isn't that his third or fourth 80-yard plus touchdown run the last 3 years? Because I think he's had 3 against. I think he's had like 2 or 3 against the Jaguars. He's had 2 or 3 against the Jaguars by himself.
I'm not going to question it. It could happen. It's not outlandish. It's less believable that UCF got a 93-yard touchdown play on Saturday. That happened. I needed to look that up. I don't need to look up if Derrick Henry happened. I can believe it.
Speaking of things that were not believable, if I would have told you that the Green Bay Packers would have spotted the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 10 points and not literally score the rest of the game,
wow,
you probably take me for money on this one. But Kyle, Tom Brady didn't change that game on Sunday.
He didn't.
It was the Tampa defense that changed the game.
Mm-hmm.
Tampa's down 10-0. Aaron Rodgers, who looked horrible all game anyway, throws a pick six.
Worst game in at least 3 years, right?
I would, yeah. I mean, okay. It surpassed the NFC Championship game last year against San Francisco, where he got literally manhandled.
Well, and he wasn't bad. The offense was just impotent. There's a difference. But please continue. I don't mean to
well, Rodgers throws a pick six at Jamel Dean. They get it, and then the next
in his career, by the way,
pick six, and then the next series he threw another interception that was almost damn near a pick six too.
Yeah,
it got down to the 2 yard line, and Ronald Jones ran it in. Brady only had like 6 plays on offense and did nothing. By the time all this happens in the second quarter, Brady's up 14-10. You don't want to give Tom Brady free touchdowns.
You don't.
I mean, a 2 yard touchdown is on the 2 yard line, first and goal that's a free touchdown. That's easy real estate. That's a touchdown. Mm-hmm. Tom Brady, and then in the second half, literally picked apart the Green Bay Packers, who arguably one of the best teams in the NFC. Literally.
I don't know what that was, but that was funny.
But Tom Brady was 17-27, 166 yards, 2 touchdowns. He found the sleeping giant Rob Gronkowski, and because Gronk, I guess, literally looked like Gronk last week, 5 catches, 74 yards, and a touchdown. But Kyle, who would have thought Ronald Jones, 23 carries, 113 yards, and 2 touchdowns, with the missing Leonard Fournette? There was no Chris Godwin. Mm-hmm. Kyle, with Gronk now waking up, they've dropped 38 points on the on the Packers. Kyle, I know they're 4-2, Kyle, but man, this is scary. This is scary.
Hey,
if the Bucs defense is doing this is scary.
Bro, I listen. I'm at this point, I'm feeling better about my Bucks prediction to win the South than I am about the Saints making the playoffs. Okay? And you make the point about Gronk doing more in this game, but I really feel like the situation there is that he was never going into this system being the primary option. That wasn't going to happen.
No, not we have two all-pro wide receivers. But Kyle, you know what makes it even more dangerous? As a guy who is a connoisseur of the front five, I call it front five.
Keep going, yeah.
Kyle, they played the perfect game.
It was excellent.
Literally, Tampa played literally the perfect game. On top of struggling in the first quarter, but Kyle, no sacks allowed and no offensive penalties.
Tristan Wirtz is a man, isn't he? Jumping out of pools and stuff. Not to put it just on him, but he's the guy I've been looking for all season to do good.
Kyle, when you have no penalties and you literally, and Tom Brady's jersey was just as white as it was when he jumped on the field, that right there gets Green Bay. Green Bay has a pretty good pass rush. They got Preston Smith and Zacharias Smith. Those guys can rush the passer. But for Brady to be clean all day, man, man.
There's only one performance I'm more impressed on. More than that. More on that later.
Speaking of teams that were impressive, and guess what? Things that, weeks that were impressive. You know what? It is the New York Jets, but the Miami Dolphins were impressive yesterday. On top of that, 24-0. But I think to me, the big story of the day was Tua Tagovailoa. He came on the field, Kyle, 2 for 2, 9 yards, and completed had the Dolphins' only third down conversion the entire game.
Right.
Kyle, what's more impressive, the fact that the Dolphins beat the Jets 24-0, or the fact of they only converted 1 third down with a backup quarterback in the game?
For me, it's the latter, simply put, right? Like, what a hater. He's not wrong, but what a hater. No, listen. The latter is more impressive, but you got to like what Tua did, and really Tua coming on the field is a fantastic story in more than one way. First of all, when he steps on the field, Fitzpatrick doing one of these to get the crowd behind him, that's class. You can't find that many classes at a university at this day and age. Okay,
he's a Harvard man. What more you say?
I'm glad you picked that up. You did that for the folks at home that didn't get the joke. I like that, Danny Thompson. Moreover, I'm sure it's been seen by now, but I want to tell people that when I saw it, I got a little teary-eyed when I saw the picture of him sitting by himself on the field after the game when the stadium cleared to FaceTime his parents because they finally had unfortunately missed a game that he played in, and he talked to him on the field to commemorate the first start. It's a beautiful story. It's a beautiful thing. It was great. Like, listen, the Jets are the Jets and they suck and they got revenge on Gase and blah, blah, blah. That's cute. Fitzpatrick and Tua were the stories I took away with my heart.
By the way, Adam Gase became the third head coach in the history of the NFL to be shut out by his former team he coached. All right.
No kidding. Is that true? Oh, my God.
Anyway. Third coach ever to be shut out by his former team. Can they get this man out of New York? This man's got to be gone sometime soon. Speaking of teams that were gone, listen. For the last week or so, the Cleveland Browns have been the team everybody talked about until they stepped in the field yesterday. The Pittsburgh Steelers went in, punched Baker Mayfield. Yes. Mike Tomlin, Omar Epps, and everybody in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh walked in the door and punched. I mean, literally punched. Not Miles. There was no Myles Garrett here today. The Steelers went and sucker punched Baker Mayfield and turned Baker Mayfield into basically a poor man's Baker.
Hey, but that's great news that they made it in there. If someone could finally get Baker's keys for him.
Listen, Ben Roethlisberger, 14-22, 162 yards. James Conner, another 100-yard game, including a touchdown on the ground. And guess what? Not Deadpool, but Chase Claypool got in the end zone to get on the ground.
Chase Claypool from where, Bobby? Thank you. Carry on.
Exactly. Chase Claypool got in the end zone for the second consecutive week on a jet sweep for a touchdown. Kyle, they got a defensive picks. They got a defensive touchdown. They literally beat the Browns down the field. Kyle, we mentioned before how the Browns have not had the easiest schedule. Welcome back to reality. Kyle, how good are the Steelers?
Better than I thought, Panda. Did you have them undefeated at this point? I sure as hell didn't.
Not this way.
Yeah. Go ahead, Bobby.
I've been saying this since the preseason. They're a sleeper team. Everybody slept on them.
Yeah, and listen, I'll be the first one to admit it. I did not think Ben Roethlisberger would look as good as he does right now. I was not prepared for Chase Claypool to be contributing the way he is now. And although I love Minkah Fitzpatrick, I knew this front was going to be good. I didn't know they were going to be this good. They outperformed. Listen, I picked them to make the playoffs, Bobby, but apparently I'm only scratching the surface, right, Panda?
Yeah, we'll see what happens. You know what? The real test obviously is going to be Baltimore. But I think
Sunday, right?
Off this year, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and in the Baltimore game Sunday, right? And listen, as a guy who follows the Niners, I circle that Steeler-Raven game every year, both of them. Hell, I made sure that the one I went to when I finally made it to Heinz Field was against the Ravens.
I mean, and speaking of the Ravens, we'll get to the Ravens when we get back. We're going to take a quick 45-second break here on Beyond the Buzzer here on I-95 and Zingo Television. We still got the rest of the NFL. We also have Mount Rushmore. So we'll be right back. Let's talk about some Tigers. This is Beyond the Buzzer on I-95. We are back here for Beyond the Buzzer here at I-95 and Sports, Zingo Television, and Facebook Live. I'm your host, Dave Thompson, checking with you live. Pittsburgh. Yeah, my heyday, really. And I'm back with your host, Dave Thompson, with my main man, Kyle Nash, the student of the game, and Rodney the Troll, and Bobby Blackjack up in New Jersey. All right. As we were going to break, we were talking about the Baltimore Ravens and the Pittsburgh Steelers taking on next week. And why is it such a big game? Well, the Baltimore Ravens took care of business last week on Sunday. Well, I mean, listen, it wasn't pretty. The Ravens had a huge lead, and they blew it. Carson Wentz was literally one series away from literally tying the game. A questionable 2-point conversion call, which forced the Eagles to have to go for 2 at the end of the game. Mm-hmm. Kyle, we've given Carson Wentz a lot of crap, and I know I have.
You have,
but man,
correct.
And I've given him a lot. I said we, because this is a show, and me individually. Kyle, here's the thing. Carson Wentz just lost Miles Sanders and just lost Zach Ertz in the same game, on top of the fact that his offensive line has been depleted. You can't even name 2 receivers on this team, and literally brought this team back down for what they were down with 20 points again, to fall just short. Doug Pearson has no answers. The reason why they're 1-4 will be 1-4-1 because of injuries. But Kyle, I know you don't want to say about the sentimental losses or there's got to be something to gain, but listen. Is it time for Eagles fans to kind of take a little bit of pressure off Carson Wentz because of he's still performing at a pretty high level, even though the Eagles are 1-4, or is it time to talk Jalen Hurts at this point?
That's a good question. Here's the way I look at it. First of all, what if you didn't bring up Carson Wentz this game, I would have, and it would have been on him throwing that touchdown off his back foot to put the Eagles within striking distance before they got the go-ahead touchdown. I don't know if you saw that touchdown, but, as a service to yourself, do it. He's off his back foot, making a throw into the back of the end zone, and I forget how far the distance is, but it wasn't short. And, of course, the running effort he made to get the first down and the crucial point in the game was beautiful. Also probably stopped a lot of hearts in the Philly area. And it's with that same sentiment that I say, once the Eagles are mathematically eliminated, which – in the NFC East,
not happening anytime soon.
But once they're mathematically eliminated, At that point, I would pull Wentz and put Hurts on the field for one simple reason: protect Carson Wentz. Listen, I've been a guy who thinks he gets too much flack because of his injuries, things he can't control, but things he has to do to keep this Eagles team going sometimes, because the rest of the damn squad can't keep any healthier than him, it feels like. You know what I'm saying? So, the rest of it starts to fall around him, and then he gets hurt having to do too much. I mean, am I the only one who said that? I'm the only one who's heard say it. So anyways, from that standpoint, I think putting Jalen Hurts in isn't a bad idea, because Wentz is the kind of player he is that makes that kind of run we just talked about and could hurt himself. I'm not going to say that he's like Michael Vick, but in Michael Vick's day, the Falcons always made damn sure to have a capable backup. And at least one guy became a starter in the NFL because he was that damn capable and got enough film to lobby to become a starter, right? So I think he's that guy because he does what he does the way he does it. You need to have a capable backup in place and ready, and they should test Jalen Hurts to see if he is that guy. And if not, garner him a trade. I hear there's a team in Washington that if they don't get Trevor Lawrence, they're going to need somebody.
Speaking of the NFC East, the Washington whatchamacallits and the New York Giants, they played Sunday. And like you said, how bad this division race is, well, guess what? The Giants are now a half game out of first place right now. Why? They beat the Washington whatchamacallits by a score of 20-19.
The Red Tails, good God. What am I going to do?
I don't know what was worse. The fact that Daniel Jones led the game in rushing for either team with 74 yards, or the fact of Kyle Allen threw for almost 300 yards for the Washington whatchamacallits. Kyle, listen. The Giants are now 1-5. The whatchamacallits are 1-5. The Eagles are 1-4-1. They're a half game only due to the fact they tied with the Bengals. And the Cowboys, who are down 28-7 right now, 28-3.
Can we say dominating?
28-3.
I'm going to say dominating. Okay.
They're down 28-3, Kyle. The Giants are literally a half game, one full game away from first place in the division.
Good hell.
We might have a team that's 6-10 make the playoffs with a home game.
Isn't that pathetic?
Kyle?
Yeah.
Now, you know the bad part is Thursday night we're exposed. Glad we're off. We're exposed to watching the Eagles and Giants on Thursday Night Football. Woof.
Thank you, Bobby. Highly appropriate graphic. Listen, man. That's the thing. That's why your question is so relevant. Like, okay, so you make the playoffs, then what? Do you think that as the Eagles, you'll be healthy enough to make a run late and do your best Seattle Seahawk impression with Travaris Jackson and Marshawn Lynch to try to make noise? I don't know. And listen, our troll is on fire bringing up Kyle Allen. I applaud you, sir.
Yes, because obviously, listen, Kyle Allen's the future. Ron Rivera, but here's the thing. What wasn't the future was in Carolina yesterday. What we saw was Teddy Bridgewater's first pass of the game was intercepted. His first completed pass, the first attempted pass was an interception because he was sacked in his first play, and his last pass was an interception. What does that have to correlate? The Bears are still winning. They're 5-1 now.
Yeah.
Listen, it's the ugliest 5-1 you're going to see, but guess what? The Bears got it done. 23-16 over the Carolina Panthers. Kyle, here's the thing about this game. Now, Mike Davis probably had his worst game on the ground. Teddy Bridgewater did throw 2 interceptions, but Matt Nagy almost got the Aflac Award this weekend. I'm going to tell you why.
Go ahead.
Kyle, Bears were up 23-16. Carolina literally had a chance to tie the game. Bridgewater on fourth down, literally he hits DJ Moore. Moore tries to go one-handed because the ball went over the wrong shoulder, and he couldn't hold on to it. All right, Kyle, Carolina, it was after the 2-minute warning. Carolina has 3 timeouts, Kyle. 3 timeouts. First down, they run the ball. Timeout, Matt Rule. Second down, they run the ball. Timeout, Matt Rule. Kyle, it's 3rd and 4. Matt Nagy calls a drag route for Allen Robinson on 3rd and 4. Carolina still has a timeout. And guess what happens? Robinson couldn't hold on to it, and the Bears killed a grand total of 11 seconds and gave Carolina the ball back. What saved Matt Nagy was the fact of the very first play after the punt. Bridgewater has a minute 35. Teddy Bridgewater threw a pass only Jameis Winston could love, because that ball was directly centered for the Bears linebacker who intercepts the ball and ends the game. That was a Jameis Winston pick. That was a Jameis Winston 2019 interception. I would not expect that pass from Teddy Bridgewater. It was bad.
Teddy Bridgewater was expecting that pass from Teddy Bridgewater. Listen, man. I mean, first of all, you should be frustrated that you weren't the one that put the Bears to sleep, because the rest of the nation still has to listen to these stupid Bears fans. But I still have
listen. They couldn't beat Teddy Ruxpin. Teddy Bridgewater turned into Teddy Ruxpin. Okay.
I want to throw you the ball. No one's going to get that under the age of 30, 40. Damn it, Danny Thompson. Anyway, so the punchline is this, partner. After what you said about Matt Nagy, if the Bears end up winning that division, like, how do you not make him coach of the year? Seriously.
Listen, he did something that should have been done a long time ago. And listen, as long as Nick Foles game managing 101, they're going to win. But Kyle, here's the thing. Dave Montgomery getting 58 yards on the ground once again is not going to get it done in the playoffs. I don't understand. I don't know if maybe Le'Veon Bell just wanted to go to Kansas City, but the first phone call should have been from the Chicago Bears for Le'Veon Bell.
Do you want to go to Chicago?
Listen, I mean, you play in Pittsburgh, you play in New York, you're used to cold weather. Kansas City ain't much warmer, okay? Food's good, it ain't much warmer.
There? Come on now. Just because you can handle it doesn't mean you have to go there.
Listen, you're not getting the ball 30 times a game, but guess what? I can see Matt Nagy using Le'Veon Bell the same way they used Matt Forte for years in Chicago. A run-pass threat, it would have been perfect. Montgomery is a guy I'm scared of getting the job done. Tariq Cohen's done for the season. The Bears need a second running back here. That's all I'm saying.
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying I don't think Le'Veon takes the call. That's what I'm telling you.
We all know because Kansas City came calling. Oh, snap, easy ring. All right, let me go to Kansas City. All right.
Face it.
Speaking of things that were easy this week, well, there was something easy going on. Out in Jacksonville this week, listen. The Detroit Lions are now 2-3, and Adrian and DeAndre Swift look like a guy that should have been drafted in the first round of the NFL draft.
It looks like Lions a guy that should have closed out the game against Chicago, but I digress.
Listen, he made up for it. His first 100-yard game of his NFL career, 14 carries, 116 yards, 2 touchdowns. Chicago woman, Casey Hausbaum. Hey, wow.
And maybe that's exactly why Le'Veon didn't go. He married and trying to keep it behaved. Back off, Rodney. Moving on.
Listen, the Jacksonville Jaguars went Jaguar. All right. They gave up 21 second half points. The Lions just literally ran the ball down the field. And even though Gardner Minshew did throw for almost 300 yards, Kyle, the Jaguars are now 1-5 in the middle of the Trevor Lawrence sweepstakes.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And you know what? The Lions are still in the division race right now. Guess who's not in the division race in the NFC North? That is the Minnesota Vikings.
The team you're so proud of beating, right, Sir Burr?
Listen, we ain't got to listen. The Panthers already purred their way to a loss this week. But the Atlanta Falcons got their first win of the season. The Falcons' record is now 1-0 on the season as they defeat the Minnesota Vikings 40-24 on the road at US Bank Stadium on Sunday. Listen, all right. Now here's the real quick.
Oh my God! What the hell is that?
Yes.
Is that what that was?
Because it's about damn time Julio Jones did something to the offense. Jones caught 8 passes for 140 yards and 2 touchdowns, including one where he caught a 40-yard touchdown off of improvisation from Matt Ryan. Now, improvisation, Matt Ryan scrambling all for a touchdown pass is something you don't see unless you're on Madden and you're glitching the game. Ryan decided to scramble, broke his scramble, and threw off getting hit by a defender for Jones, who ends up outrunning somebody 40 yards down the field for a touchdown. Now, Kyle, the Vikings, after having one of their better games, they played a different type of game last week against Seattle. they got manhandled again. Ryan throws for 370 yards, 4 touchdown passes. Jones caught 2. Hunter Hurst got a late touchdown, and Atlanta dominated the game. Well, guess what? They scored 10 points in every single quarter and didn't blow a fourth quarter lead.
Hey, listen, and all the joking we make at your expense, for the Falcons and all that, it really is nice to see Julio Jones healthy again, man. He's a quality football player, and he's fun to watch.
Listen, and now if they can start targeting Julio Jones, because Kyle, guess what? The first touchdown Ryan threw was to Julio Jones, and guess what? The red zone. Hey, that's a great thought. Go freaking figure. Now the real question is, the first week when the coaches changed, in the middle of the season, everybody plays well. Now Atlanta can literally win the next 2 games. They have Detroit on Sunday at home, and they go to Carolina on the Thursday night. If Atlanta gets to 3-5, they've now caught. If Carolina loses, they'll be tied with Carolina for 3rd place in the division. I'm not saying they're going to go out and try to catch Tampa and go catch New Orleans, but Kyle, listen. If they get to 3-5 before the bye, Atlanta is kind of dangerous with the offense. That's all I'm saying.
Hey, listen, and this is the kind of situation where I feel like the fraud cons can actually,
Here we go.
No, I talk trash because listen, that what always seems to happen, except for the Super Bowl year, and eventually they were fraudulent because we saw the rest of the Super Bowl. But what I'm trying to say is they usually start fast and then hit a wall. And if they don't start fast, they do something late to flirt with, if not outright get success, right? And this year in the NFC, that 7th seed is going to be of contention, man. It's going to be if they can pick up a game on the Saints, who have been completely undisciplined with a quarterback that's been fading,
and Michael Thomas who has issues with team players on the roster.
Well, yeah, I mean he's missing just as much as Julio. I mean, it's a good point. We all know that team goes through Kamara now. I think everyone will agree with that. But what I'm saying is if they can pick up a game on New Orleans, and they can make it a thing come tie-break time, again, not for the NFC South, which is not the best team in the best conference division in the NFL. I think we can safely say, Padna. They just need to be better than the 7th best team or tied with them and get that tie-break.
Speaking of the team that potentially be fighting for the 7th overall seed, listen, the San Francisco 49ers and the LA Rams played a great game last night. And Kyle texted me because Kyle during the game was like, man, this 49ers team is looking really bad. Listen.
No. Hold on. If you're going to quote me right. There's no excuse for the 49ers to be playing this good, was what I said.
Listen, the 49ers went in to play the Rams last night. They held it home. The 49ers got their first win outside the state of New York this season. Jimmy Garoppolo threw for 2 touchdowns. For 2 touchdowns, and the man your jersey you're wearing hit the 100-yard barrier, and Mr. George Kittle. 49ers like the 49er team of old, and guess what? The defense made enough plays at the end of the game, as we all know the 49ers can do on defense. 24-16, and the Rams are just the Rams. Jared Goff is Jared Goff, and there's nothing impressive about the Rams.
But there's a huge stat you're missing there, Danny Thompson. You know what it is?
What am I missing, sir?
Not only did Aaron Donald, the best player at his position in the NFL, escape that game without a sack or a tackle for loss, the entire team failed to sack a quarterback who is suffering is in the later part of his recovery of a high ankle sprain. And listen, it's still affecting his, but when he runs over a corner to set up a field goal that puts them 2 scores ahead, that's what you want to see. Continue.
Speaking of things you want to see and things you didn't want to see, if you're the New England Patriots, listen, if you're watching this game between the Patriots and the Broncos, I'm not sure how much of your time you got back. Well, if you had Brandon McManus in fantasy football this week, you might have won this week. McManus kicks not 1, not 2, not 3, LeBron, not 4, not 5, but 6 field goals. 18-12 win over the New England Patriots. Listen, I know before we start talking about the alarming news, Cam Newton was coming back off of COVID, And for a guy who's still learning the offense and also missing time, this is not the right time to do it. Kyle, the Patriots didn't look good. The Newton was playing at a high level before he got hit, before he caught COVID, and they looked awful. Awful. Kyle,
I mean, what was it? The Patriots were losing players, but meanwhile, the Broncos got their starter back. And say what you will about Driscoll, he's the starter. He's better than the other guys that are taking snaps. And he's not missing due to COVID. While he's rehabbing, he's still taking practices. He's still exposed to the team rather than a virus. He's still able to get that interaction. Bill Belichick said it best. The lack of practice was what killed him. Self-imposed wound or not, I'm not trying to tell you that the Patriots are a sympathetic group here or anything like that for anybody who's trying to come that angle. It's not true. But the truth is it still affected the outcome. And, I'm making excuses. It's just the fact of the case. What I am saying is don't rule out the Patriots sliding for the entire season like that.
I think they should bounce back. There's no way that, first off, you lose by 6 with like a team kicking 6 field goals and 2. Drew Lock, give the defense a lot of credit. They sacked Drew Lock twice. I mean, picked him off twice. Played good defensive games. In fact, Newton threw a touchdown pass. They were kind of not so good late. Well, speaking of things that
Broncos won a game like that since Tim Tebow. That's my question, Danny.
I think Osweiler might have got him a win sooner or later. So they got paid somehow.
Maybe. Well, with 6 field goals, though, it might have happened, but you can't, there's a shot I'm right. That's all I'm saying.
Speaking of things that were shot right and things that went wrong, the last game of the week is, of course, the Cincinnati Bengals. They're now, I think, the 5th team this season to have a 20-point lead in the game this season and blow it. Yeah. Unlike the rest of the teams, the only team I think that didn't blow it and lost was the Cleveland Browns earlier. The Bengals were up 21-0 over the Indianapolis Colts, and guess what? Phillip Rivers, he went old school Phillip Rivers, chucking the ball down the field. Rivers throws for 370 yards, 3 touchdowns. Mm-hmm. They come back from a 21-0 deficit to take the game 31-27 at home. Colts are now 4-2. Listen, Kyle, we're talking about teams that are like under the radar. The Colts are 4-2.
Hey, listen, as good as the Colts defense is, they're always a factor. And give them credit for stopping the bleeding at 21 after the Bengals got up that big. Taking nothing from old man Rivers, because he did look hot towards the end of the game, no question. There's a reason why he's probably the best quarterback in San Diego Charger history. I get it. But to give them defense credit for putting the lid on the Bengals.
Also, you got to give credit because you got to think the Colts defense didn't have Darius Leonard either. Mm-hmm. Their tackling machine was out due to injury. That one of 6 players that were inactive. And like I said, the Bengals looked good early. T. Higgins caught a huge play down the sideline, which led to a Joe Mixon touchdown. Mm-hmm. And, I just have one thing. Fox or CBS, whoever had that overlay, comparing the career numbers of Phillip Rivers and Joe Burrow should be dragged out the street and quote Garfield the cat shot. Thank you.
And by the way, no, not Dan Fouts. Sorry, Chief.
That's why I kind of looked at you like Dan Fouts was that guy, though.
He's good. He ain't Phillip Rivers good.
He wasn't Phillip Rivers good. But I know one thing, who's not really good? Andy Dalton's not good right now. It's 28-3 still Arizona over the Dallas Cowboys right now out in Dallas.
Look at you dunking on the Ginger Ninja, Danny Thompson.
Listen, if Andy Dalton was a item at Target, he would have been returned 3 times already.
Listen, he would have been famous like the ShamWow was for a while because he got the Bengals to so many playoff appearances. But yeah, you're right. He's on the clearance rack. I get it.
Crazy thing is, Kyler Murray has 3 touchdowns in the game, 2 touchdowns passing to Christian Kirk of all people, and a touchdown running with 74 yards on the ground. And Kyle, your guy Kenyon Drake finally got the end zone. 12 carries, 6-7 yards for him. Andy Dalton, 21. Huh?
His fantasy team. Points for Bobby for Kenyon Drake.
For me too.
Andy
Dalton, 20
points for Andy. There you go.
Yep. 21-33 for Dalton for 144 yards. Kyle, 33 attempts and only 144 passing yards, 5 yards an attempt. 144 yards, the interception. Zeke, they fed him 10 times for 50 yards so far in this game. But I guess like Kyle, Christian Kirk, 2 catches, 86 yards and 2 touchdowns. including one of them being an 80-yard touchdown.
Yes, Christian Kirk trying to boldly take the Cardinals to places they've not been before.
But the surprise of the night, Kyle, is DeAndre Hopkins. In a game against the Dallas Cowboys, you'd think he'd be destroying the Cowboys. 6 targets, 1 catch for 13 yards.
Hey, bro, your guy Julio Jones has gone quiet to give the rest of his squad love too before. It happens, partner.
I'm just saying, Kyle, against the Dallas Cowboys.
I'm just saying, Danny Top. I'm sorry.
No, but the Cardinals are going Cardinal tonight.
Well, I'm glad you decided to realize that going Cardinal is a thing in 2020.
I mean, listen, Kyle, this is it's a year of 2020 where things are not normal, things aren't wild. But you know what? It's not normal. You know what is normal and wild, Kyle? Our favorite segment of the show, which is Mount Rushmore. For those who've never seen the show, shame on you. Who've never seen a segment, shame on you. Kyle and I will do our favorite Mount Rushmore segment, and how it works is I will give Kyle a topic, and me and him will discuss our Mount Rushmore, which is what basically is the 4 things that are equivalent on there. The best part about it is Kyle has no idea what the topic is until I talk to him about it. Also, Bobby, our super producer up in New Jersey, remembering Bobby Gorensey, by the way, we're remembering Bobby all the time. Remember Bobby in the morning, remember Bobby in the evening, and remember Bobby at supper time. Bobby will also drop in with, we always remember Bobby. For those who don't know,
track too, damn it.
Yes, but we'll just be remembering Bobby for the remainder of the show.
I mean, well, never mind. I won't make the Facebook account joke about me remembering and all that, but we'll move on.
Listen, I was saying we'll be remembering Bobby throughout the entire show. Yeah. And also, if you're watching the show live and want to give your Mount Rushmore for the topic as well too, by all means, leave it there as well too. So, Kyle, we talked about things that have been terrible. We talked about how teams have blown leads. We talked about how bad the New York Jets is. So let's keep with the terrible factor today. Kyle, it is that part of the year where, of course, it is desserts. It is the time of year where it's Halloween, Thanksgiving, and Christmas, which means there's nothing but candy, sweets, and galore. But Kyle, there's also some things, Kyle, that should not be anywhere judged. So, Kyle, this time of year, I'm going to call it the holiday season. What are the Mount Rushmore of terrible desserts?
Terrible desserts. Danny Thompson. Okay.
Yes. Desserts that get you voted off the island, booted off the island, or stuff that you just don't like that's normally around this time of year.
Okay. Well, listen, I'm going to come out the gate and say what it is. This time of year especially, we are 2 weeks removed from doing the annual collection through the trash of recycled candy corn. That's a thing. You all know it's a thing. Stop it. So move on from there. Next in line, it's possible to do this food good. And I've only experienced it once. Every other time has been precisely awful. What do I refer to? Fruitcake. Fruitcake, 9 times out of 10, there's a reason why it gets bad pub, is because the pub deserves to be bad. It can be done well. I've sampled it. If I didn't sample it personally, I wouldn't think it possible. But I wouldn't go hunting for it because I don't want to try to explain to my daughter that unicorns don't exist after she's had a delicious fruitcake and just defied the odds, okay? Hey, the unicorn thing was funny. You respect that as a father yourself, bro. Anyway.
I do. That's why I laughed.
Next on the list, something I could never understand being a thing. I'm surprised that pumpkin pie is delicious. It really shouldn't be, but somehow it is, and I respect it. No, hey, I'm not talking trash. But who think I hate sweet potatoes anyway, but who looks at this trash and said, yep, that's a dessert. Sweet potato pie? Really? What the hell, South? For all the good food you have, you try to hand me sweet potato? I see you, Danny Thompson. And you know what? Put sugar in your grits and leave me alone, okay? All I'm trying to tell you is sweet potato pie is bad, and I'll never understand why people like it. I'm going to leave it at that. I just left him speechless. Holy crap. So for my fourth one, listen, being a big guy, there's not a lot. I'll turn my nose at a dessert, but I'm going to get some hate for this. Something for me that just doesn't work and never has. I get putting things together and it being amazeballs. Danny Thompson, ice cream cake. Ooh. Reese's peanut butter cups. Oh, yeah. Mint and chocolate. When the F did this become a thing? Because you know what I always thought of when I was brushing my teeth, Danny Thompson? I want to have chocolate in here. Or you know what I'm thinking when I'm eating my chocolate? Let's get some toothpaste in here. Now, no. Mint chocolate is awful. If you like Thin Mints, I have nothing for you. And you know the best way to keep me away from your desserts? Lace that beast in mint. I'll drink you under the table with mojitos. That's my jam. Got plenty of mint. It's a good time. And you got sweet stuff in it. I'm with you. Don't come at me with mint chocolate. Stop it. Danny Thompson? That doesn't make me wrong, troll. Moving on.
Bobby, what are your thoughts on your Mount Rushmore of terrible desserts?
Well, I can't believe Kyle just stole my thunder. I got a whole rant prepared in my head regarding how bad sweet potato pie is compared to pumpkin pie. Looks the same.
You got him too.
Totally different. Pumpkin pie.
Bobby, I need to hear. No, Bobby, we got time for this. We still got another 20 minutes. I need to hear this. I'm all ears on this one. Go ahead.
I don't know. I'm like Kyle. I'm not a big sweet potato person. It looks the same as pumpkin pie, but the taste is so much more better on the pumpkin side.
Damn, he even gave it's a trap defense. Holy snap. I wouldn't.
Go ahead, Bobby. Continue.
You know, there's something I haven't ever seen or had. But there's a song around Christmas. It says, "Please bring us some figgy pudding." I do not want to see or taste figgy pudding.
Picture like the feeling for Fig Newton is what comes to mind to me. Is that so bad? I will cook you under the table. Oh, hell no. You didn't pull that.
Yo, Rodney, I like my sweets here, baby. I mean,
man, listen. There's a reason why I'm fatter than you is because I can cook, fool.
All right, continue, Bobby. Continue, Bobby. Continue.
Give me a coconut. Give me a pina colada. Lovely. Give me a coconut. Forget about it. Done. Coconut. I don't know. Yeah, fruitcake, like I said. Fruitcake. And what else don't I like? I'm kind of stuck there. I'm still stuck in that whole sweet potato pie thing. I'm still mad about that.
He made 3 of them sweet potato pie. It's like Dylon the Rapper. Look out, Danny Thompson.
All right, Bobby. All right.
Are you sweating, Danny? Did we get you that bad on that? I mean, I know Rodney's lost his mind trying to tell me I can't cook.
First off, there's very few times in life where I agree with Rodney. Both of y'all lost your damn minds. There's no way sweet potato pie should be on this list. All right? Both of you have lost it. All right. That's all I'm saying.
Prove me wrong. I'll take the
all right. So, listen, you ain't been to the right household. I'm trying to tell you. All right? You've not been to the right household. Listen.
I will drive.
Drive up. Drive up, damn it. I'll bring one to you for Christmas, damn it, if I need to. All right. Mount Rushmore terrible desserts. Yes, number 1 is got to be candy corn. All right. Candy corn, candy corn, candy corn. Candy corn is the New York Knicks of candies. All right. Candy corn's awful. All right. Candy corn's awful. And if you like candy corn, you're awful as well, too. Okay. Ooh. Candy corn, if candy corn is number 1 overall pick, it couldn't have been traded. It can't be traded for draft considerations. All right.
It's like
candy corn
at the top pick.
It's Mariah Carey acting bad. Okay. Candy corn is flat out brutal. Okay. You know what's up there with candy corn when it comes to the candy part of desserts? Black licorice.
Okay. Definitely a dishonorable mention. Black licorice. Good call.
Black licorice is terrible. All right.
It's not even close.
Uh-oh.
Delicious.
You got Bobby hot. Oh, boy.
I might be able to take a spoonful of sweet potato pie. Black licorice, I can't even bite. I can't even look at it. I can't even smell it.
Black licorice is terrible. Okay. Black licorice is Notre Dame's football's strength of schedule bad. Okay.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
When
we beat Clemson, y'all are going to be shocked.
Listen, Bobby, you know what? I'm going to do this, Bobby, because normally I don't do best, Bobby. You know what? If somehow Notre Dame beats Clemson, You can play the Notre Dame fight song, the entire song on this show, start to finish.
To open the show.
To open and close the show. There's no way in hell Clemson wins that game. Loses that game.
We'll play it in the background the whole show. I'll be playing lightly in the background, subliminally.
Listen, Bobby, listen. You can play the Notre Dame band and the fight song at the beginning and the end of the show. And if you can play it throughout the whole show. There's no way Clemson loses that game. And Rodney, I promise you, if Clemson does lose this game, you better not come nowhere near that show the following week. All right.
Listen, come to the show for me and mock me, dude, because I've been the hard one. And if I get it that wrong, I'll take my lumps. I'm not naming myself Sir Purr. I'm not that stupid. But
listen, I'm to the point where I believe in Clemson so much, I might change my name to Rudy.
Wait. Okay, no, that's good. If Clemson loses to Notre Dame, I will name myself Loquan Rudy. There you go.
Loquan Rudy. Perfect. But back to the Mount Rushmore terrible desserts. All right, listen. All right, I'm gonna go something different because you guys have already mentioned fruitcake, and fruitcake is flat out atrocious. Okay, fruitcake is the Atlanta Falcons defense. Okay, it is that bad. All right, fruitcake is freaking awful. All right, it is like it's regurgitable bad. All right. I will not stand for the damn sweet potato slander by neither one of you. There's no way it's happening. I'm still pissed off by the way. All right. So I've already, and you know what? Black licorice could be considered. No, it's actually on the Mount Rushmore because fruitcake's on there. Now, figgy pudding, not down figs, not down pudding, or anything that's reserved figgy pudding. Now, mint chocolate is damn awful. Okay, mint chocolate is like literally watching like Division IX football on ESPN the Ocho bad. Okay, it's really. Mint chocolate is horrible. But I'm going to switch things up a bit because I'm going to go with something that might be controversial to some people. And guess what? I could care less. But
you're late to the party on controversy, apparently.
Hell, y'all started with sweet potato pie. I'm going to go with something that I can't stand when it comes to desserts. Y'all going to probably fry me, fricassee me everywhere else. But guess what? It is what it is. It's banana pudding. I'm not big on banana pudding.
I listen. First of all, it's a good thing that you don't spend much time in New Orleans then, because bananas fosters the jam that they
pudding, or I think banana pudding, rice pudding, or even bread pudding. You know what? The whole damn pudding family needs to
go. Oh boy, I'm glad my wife doesn't listen to this show. She would stab you with the spoon that she would use to eat the damn pudding after you talk that smack.
All three of them damn puddings need to go. Okay.
Oh boy.
Those three puddings are the Plumleys of desserts.
Oh boy,
they're the equivalent of the Plumleys when it comes to desserts. Okay, they're just not that good. Okay,
I mean, it's one thing sweet potato pie I can get support. Pudding, man, I don't know.
Banana, rice, and bread, they all need to go. All right.
Listen,
No, I agree. You're totally right with that. Well, banana.
Oh, okay. Okay, I got the seal approval from Bobby on this one. I feel so bad now. All right, so
in the same league with mint chocolate, I don't know that I can do that. I mean, and if it's a thing for you, I'm not going to knock it. Listen, unlike you with sweet potato pie, I'm going to keep my cool. I get it, but
sweet potato pie is an all-star. What are we talking about here,
bro? I can't even eat sweet potato fries. I find them disgusting. I can't do it. Like, man, settle down, okay? I heard to listen to you talk about the Falcons winning their game and they all had in the bag of chips now. Okay, stop it.
Now, here's the thing, though. Now, not eating at Bobby's house. Now, Kyle has brought me something from his house before, and it's actually pretty good. His wife can cook, by the way. So Mrs. Nash can throw down in the kitchen. Now I got to defend Bobby and his wife on that. I got to feel Kyle and his wife on this one. I ain't eaten at Bobby's house before, but Bobby is from New Jersey. Bobby's folks are all Italian, so I'm pretty sure if I go to his house, there's going to be some pretty damn good food up there. All I'm saying is, I've eaten Kyle's food from his house before, and I'll give him they got taste buds. Now his style points are gone. We're talking about some damn sweet potato pie, but he's got taste buds. By the way, don't know what the hell they are, but Kyle might be eating kale for all I know. I don't damn know. All I'm saying is,
me on the Mexican Mount Rushmore and the dessert Mount Rushmore. Let's not forget that trash.
Hey, listen. Well, Listen. All I'm saying is, so my Mount Rushmore of desserts is any type of pudding. You got the pudding family.
On that, yeah.
Yeah, I'm putting the pudding family. I'm putting all the damn puddings on the family. I'm putting black licorice, fruitcake, and candy corn. Bobby, we got anybody in the chat with Mount Rushmore for terrible desserts? Yes.
I know my mind. Whatever. For bad?
S'mores? What the hell's wrong with you?
You coming after me for sweet potato, and he comes up with this? You owe me an apology, Danny Thompson.
S'mores? What the hell?
I'm still waiting for it.
Okay, here's the thing. As one of the founding forefathers of the Fluffy for Men Club, yes. I'm of the Fluffy Fellow crew. Rodney, your membership has now been revoked. S'mores? Hell's wrong with you? Okay. Bobby, anybody else? Are we good?
That's it.
All right. I don't know. All right. So, Kyle, last before we go, I want to say happy trails to a legendary announcer. If you've watched the NHL over the many years, in the last 25 years, Doc Emmerich, who has been a huge part of the NHL for multiple networks, going all the way back to Fox, now NBC Sports Network, NBC, everywhere in between. If you know the NHL, his voice in the NHL in the United States is equivalent to what Bob Costas was for baseball and NBC. The same way you talk about Marv Albert in basketball, even now with Mike Breen in the NBA. Doc Emmerich has been a huge part of me watching the NHL for years, and he retired. I think 26 years, multiple networks, multiple Stanley Cups. He was the voice of the NHL for me in my time in the United States, and he's retiring, so I want to give him a shout out before he goes. Kyle, I'm so disappointed in you with damn sweet potato pie. I'm so disappointed. I was hoping you.
Rodney coming with s'mores, and you gonna come after me? Stop it.
Rodney's always been disappointing.
Hold on. We gotta go. We gotta go through this real quick. We got this, which we don't agree with, right?
We do not.
Hell no. Rodney, here's my question. No. Let me get this one. Rodney, you should like marshmallows because that's what Clemson's schedule is every year. Continue.
But he's missing one main ingredient: the chocolate.
He's not going to sit down chocolate.
There's a joke in there, but I'm not going to sing to Rodney's level.
You already listen. Saying marshmallows are nasty and him being a Clemson Tiger fan should not be one and the same.
Yeah, he needs. Well, he's sick of them because he watches them every week on TV when Clemson plays it. That's a great point by you, Danny Thompson.
Playing the damn Citadel. All right. I can't believe the show sometimes. I really can't. I got my co-host and my producer who don't like sweet potato pie. I have our main troll who don't like marshmallows, and marshmallows nasty. We're all fluffy here. Damn it, we're all Stay Puft fluffy here, and his ass like marshmallows. All right. Kyle, any shout-outs before we go? I can't with this guy tonight. I think he's trolling at this point.
I mean, you may have heard enough of me, but you're about to hear some more. First of all, find me on Twitter at TheSOTG. Second, find me on Instagram as the same, TheSOTG. Also, find me on Facebook as the same. Check out my works with the University of Central Florida Knights football squad on the 3pointconversion.com. Check out my work with Hilarity by Default. My friend Demosthenes Euclid running the show there on Hilarity by Default YouTube channel. Currently doing live streams 9:30 on Wednesdays. Check out the One and O Show, which premieres every Wednesday night at 9 o'clock itself on the One and O Show Facebook page. You'll see me breaking down UCF football and doing, well, some silliness that I do here, but, for UCF related. And check out my work as well with Kevin Company in the morning on oldschool101.com. And Danny, if I hurt you on the inside, I apologize. But hey, remember, I have never talked trash on marshmallows unless it's on the ACC schedule. Danny?
Bobby, any shout-outs before we go tonight, sir?
No,
and shout out to the departed Bobby Blackjack.
No shout-out to the big F you to whoever's hacking my account and making me deceased. I am not deceased, goddammit. I'm here.
So for those who have not caught the running joke, literally for the show, this show is in remembrance of Bobby Blackjack. This is his, since we can't see him, this is the holographic image of Bobby. We're remembering him throughout the show tonight. He is now he's going to be remembered just like our good friend Beep is. So the running joke all week is that unfortunately our super producer Mr. Bobby Blackjack up in New Jersey, his Facebook account got hacked, and Bobby has died twice this week on Facebook. He died on Friday, came back to life Saturday, and died again over the weekend. So the good news is that Bobby's still alive, but to Facebook he's dead.
I know, I'm like John friggin' Snow, you know.
I mean, we're about to start. We're about to basically. The new running joke now for Bobby is that he's going to be like he's going to be a character Kenny from South Park. He's going to be resurrected. He's going to be resurrected every Monday on the show now. He might be dead on Facebook, but we resurrect you every single week. But shout out before we go.
Oh my
big
God!
Shout.
You Blackjack! You bastard!
Yeah, next show, Bobby's back on the show next week. Like nothing happened. like the NFC East, he doesn't go anywhere.
Oh.
Big shouts to everybody who's tuned in the show tonight. Yes, it's a little bit different. We didn't get out to the streams as we normally do, so we do apologize. But for those who watch the show, thank you for liking, sharing, tagging, and sharing the show. Big shouts to Rodney for always being Rodney. Precious for always stopping by as usual. All the comments on the show, like I said, it's a little bit different tonight. And so with Thursday night's game going on, I don't know. I might try to talk Kyle into a quick little 30-minute show on Thursday to break the monotony of folks watching the Eagles and the Giants, because we don't need bad sports entertainment right now. We might stop for a 30-minute show to talk about a little bit about the games for Sunday in the NFL, and also maybe about a little bit of college football. So we might stop by Thursday night because we want to save you from the Eagles and Giants. Because the Eagles and Giants want to save themselves for each other, too. Mm. But big shout outs to my main man, Kyle Nash, for always stopping by, being the tag team partner of mine on the show. Big shout outs to Bobby Blackjack of New Jersey. He is still living, ladies and gentlemen. He ain't dead. Also, the shout outs to everybody from the 3-point conversion. So many people to name on the staff. Big shout outs to everybody. Check out 3pointconversion.com. Alan Fields' college football top 10's out. Also, Ab Stanley's NFL Power Rankings is coming out later on this week. Also, of course, Kyle has been knocking out plenty of work with the 3-point conversion, with covering UCF football. And yes, there are plenty of articles coming from the rest of the team. I still have some NBA stuff that's coming out from the 3-point conversion as well, too. So it is time we're going to end the show a little bit early tonight, because guess what? I mean, we have watching Cowboys and Cardinals. No. Yes. In remembrance, so like I said, this show is in remembrance of Bobby, Kenny, Blackjack, Gorancy. So for myself, the remembering Bobby, the remembering Blackjack, and Mr. Nash, student of the game itself, I'm Danny Thompson. We'll see you guys maybe on Thursday. Peace out.